Hello all. Well, here in California we're having strong winds, predicted rain for the next 3 days. We'll see what happens. But for this time, let's just do our video inside. So, what's the subject? Well, it has to be something to do with climate. And so it is. Australia's turn to have heat waves. Let's go over the board and see what's happening in Australia. So this was Australia's January hottest month on record, averaging 30 C or 86 degrees Fahrenheit on average throughout the entire country. There have been reports of mass die-offs and deaths throughout the country of Australia. Wild horses, bats, and fish are just some of it. Snakes are taking refuge in people's homes and bathrooms, the coolest place they can find. And more than 50 brush fires with strong winds broke out in this month. Adelaide broke its own record twice in January. So temperatures in Australia have been going up for the last 100 years and is now 1 C above where it was 100 years ago. Now this bothers scientists a lot because the problem is if we do go another degree up in temperatures, that'll put the temperatures in Australia at dangerous levels, and these will become the new norm. Whether we do something or not, it's in the bag already. Bag? Now, to figure out how to fix these problems, all you have to do is look at history, because history has seen climate change over and over and over again. If it isn't too hot, it's too cold. Right now, we're going into superheated temperature. There's a study that has studied the 15th century and found that humans have already found out how to decrease the CO2 and bring the temperatures down. Let's go over to the board and I'll show you what I mean. So let's look at what happened in the 15th century when Europeans colonized the Americans, killing over 60 million people in just 100 years. That's North, Central, and South America. The indigenous people died of disease, slavery, bad treatment, and just people going around killing people that weren't Europeans. There was no problem with that at that time. If your skin was dark, it meant that any white person could kill you just for the fun of it. And they did, by the millions. Sounds like the buffalo in the North American plains. So this study was conducted from the University College of London in the UK. So the land previously cultivated by the indigenous people of all these areas fell into disuse and no longer was farmed. At that time, fast-growing trees and vegetation took over all this land and drank up so much CO2 that it dropped the CO2 levels by between 7 and 10 parts per million, which then put the planet into a small ice age. Now it's too bad what happened back in the 15th century. All of Cuba and many other island nations completely disappeared, either by being taken slaves or just shot and killed, or by dying of disease, smallpox, mumps, measles. They all took their toll and killed millions. So the point here is that if you take the size of France and put it back into nature's hands, you can lower the CO2 by 7 to 10 parts per million. That's a huge amount. That's why I say all we have to do is put the farmland indoors in the cities and then have the farmland that is presently farmland turned into wild areas once again, full of forests, grasslands, and underbrush, which then will drink up huge amounts of CO2 and put the planet back into a more normal condition. You just have to use your science and, of course, history to find out what to do to fix these things. We don't need geoengineering at all. We have it. The planet comes with it. And the planet has been in a situation where we had 20 times CO2 in the atmosphere. and our planet was able to reduce it down to what it is now. So this thing about giving up is ridiculous and ludicrous. The fix is too easy to give it up. We just have to put in the right people into office. If we did that, they would find this out by watching the Pink Barrio and other shows on this subject. And they would do it, and we would be so much better having our food grown just down the street where we could go pick it fresh maybe. Who knows? What's wrong with that? And then we give all that land back to nature, which will then drink up a lot of the excess of CO2 and will probably fix the problem altogether, really. And that is my opinion, just from watching enough history and studying this subject for so long. So that's why I really don't believe in gloom and doom at this time. I know things look terrible. Things could change on just a push of the button. We have two countries that have complete lunatics at the helm, the US and the UK. We put them there, and yet we talk about we can't do anything to correct. That's ludicrous. We did this to ourselves. We can fix it with something so simple as a little bit of lifestyle change and different voting habits. So, I definitely appreciate all the last comments on the last video. They were good, and I do appreciate it. It looks like there is some new news on Ray Taliaferro from his own son, Raphael. He reported on Pink Barrio that there is still no conclusion from the investigations that are going on. And he thinks it might be, well, funny business. We'll keep up on this information. And Raphael, if you're listening, thank you for your update. You're always welcome here on the Pink Barrio. And until next time.